Alright, we're here with PJ the Train Molinelli, the most interesting man in America, doing an interview here with him. So Pete, first tell us how you got started in working out and health and fitness, and what you've done over the last 30 years.
Great, thanks, Matt. Appreciate you having me here. You know, it's funny because I started working out probably when I was 13 or 14 years old. I had just moved from Staten Island to New Jersey, and they had a wrestling team. And I never wrestled before, never knew anything about it, so I figured I'd go ahead and give it a shot. And then I fell in love with it. But as a part of wrestling, I had a pretty intense conditioning program, and some of the guys started working out. So without really knowing what I was doing at all, or any idea, because at that time, you know, this is some 30-some-odd years ago, there really wasn't the information that's out there today. I mean, there was a couple of magazines that were out there. The internet certainly wasn't up and going. So, you know, you really didn't have a good source of information to go to. So literally, I would just, you know, go to a gym and pick up some weight and work what everyone calls the beach muscles. You know, I did curls and I did bench, and I did it to as much as I can do, or tried to put on as much weight as I could. And I trained that way for quite a few years, all through high school, all while I was wrestling, and put on, you know, some size. And pretty much with everyone you go through what's this they call it like a 6-month training effect. If you really haven't worked out before and you just start picking up a weight, you're gonna get to put on some size. It's just the way your body works. It's been proven time and time again. So I had some pretty good results, but after a while, and after that 6 months is over, your body gets used to that, and then you basically stop growing, and then you have to figure out, and you really have to have a kind of a better understanding of how your body works. But during this time, you know, I'm in high school. You know, the girls are starting to notice that I have a little bit bigger chest, my arms a little bit bigger, and I absolutely, you know, I like that, of course. Helped my wrestling out as well too, and so I fell in love with working out, and then I went to a couple of the local gyms that we had here, and well, at this point is back up in New Jersey. So I went to a couple of gyms, started working out, and started seeing some of the bigger guys, and I started asking questions again, because it's not like you can do today where you can just, you know, Google or go to a blog like this and get information about working out. You really had to go to someone and ask them, say, hey man, how did you get, you know, arms like that, or, you know, let me explain explain to me your workout program, or your diet or your nutrition. And that's really how I started. It really was a long process, because it would just like, it's not going to bother someone the entire time. You get a bit of information here and a bit of information there, and you know, you might see some results, you might not, and it's a lot of bro science. You know, is really what was back in the day. You know, where you're just watching a guy, and no one really had a bunch of studies, and no one really was studying nutrition. You know, it was back when the food pyramid was actually totally opposite what it is today. And, you know, things that they thought were absolutely horrible for you back then is actually really good for you now, at least so they're saying. That's kind of how I got started. So I really was at a disadvantage to a lot of the folks out today, because the information just wasn't there. So a lot of...
Were you naturally gifted, built? You know, did you already have a lot of muscle size?
No, not at all. I mean, I was, you know, although I think I've shrunk some too, but I was 5'9". I wrestled at high school at 145 pounds. That's what I wrestled at back when I was competing in wrestling. So I was, you know, nothing huge, nothing, you know, naturally gifted in that sense. I really had to work, you know, pretty hard to gain whatever I achieved. So I didn't have that going for me. Some guys are just naturally big and they have that going for them. I didn't have that, so I really had to put in the extra effort to, you know, to kind of develop my body and physique. But as I started, you know, going more to the gym and training, I eventually moved down here to Florida, and I went down to a Gold's Gym down here in Florida, and I saw an advertisement for a bodybuilding show. And, you know, I was a competitive guy. I was now, you know, going through college. You know, at that particular point in time, I was in an ROTC program over at the University of Tampa. Still very much into fitness, but I needed something more. I wanted something, you know, more than just simply having, you know, big biceps, big triceps. I wanted to have that competitive environment, so I started competing, and I went to my first bodybuilding show, literally, you know, 20-something years ago. Pretty small show, nothing all that crazy. But that opened up a whole new world to me as far as understanding fitness, because at that level, you know, the guys there really understood nutrition and how important nutrition is with developing your physique and kind of how all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. And that was really the first start to me understanding and kind of really making some serious progress as far as my own physique is concerned. And really, at the end of the day, becoming a master of your own body. And that's really what you want to do. There's a guy, and some of the old school guys out there might know of him, a guy named Frank Zane, old school bodybuilder. He's just the classic bodybuilding physique. He wasn't huge, just super well proportioned. That's what he was. He was known as being a guy that was totally in control of his body and understanding how different things reacted with his body. And that's really what I aspire to. He was kind of one of the guys that I looked up to. I still looked up to today, as a matter of fact. He's out in San Diego. I still get his newsletter that he puts out. He's 65, 68 years old or something like that. Still puts out some good information out there. But really to understand my body and my physique, and really started researching, and now is when things started to kick up, where there's a lot more magazines that started coming out, there's a lot more books that were coming out, and became a lot more mainstream than what it was when I first started working out. And I kind of just progressed from there. And at that point I was really at a crossroad for myself, because it seemed like in the gym, and I was at Gold's Gym, and where I was training, and there was guys that were kind of like me, and I was, again, nothing super special about me. I wasn't super huge, and there was guys that were absolutely monstrous, and that's something that you're just going to see in the fitness world, and by that I mean guys that do steroids and guys that don't. And I really, you have to make a choice on what you wanted to do, and I saw those guys there, and part of me wanted to be big like that. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I was in my early 20s. You want to be that large, and you see these big, huge pecs and biceps and quads, but steroids were illegal, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go down that road, and quite frankly, I was always afraid deep down that if I went on steroids, that I would never be able to come off. I mean, I have that competitive personality, and if you put on that kind of size, I was always concerned for myself that if I stopped doing them, how would I stop? And I didn't think I could. So I figured it would be best just to stay away from it. And really at that point, I made the decision that I was never going to do steroids. They're really, as far as the bodybuilding circuit was concerned, that was a problem, because most of the shows were, and it's funny how they do bodybuilding shows. There's tested and non-tested. That's how you know. And most shows are non-tested, which means that anything goes. And that's where the guys do steroids, and they're huge. I would only do the tested shows by, they usually do polygraph and by urinalysis. So anyway, that's kind of how I got started in my bodybuilding career. And then from that, I did pretty well. I actually took third in my first show ever. There was about 12 guys in my class, and that kind of gave me some motivation to keep doing it. And then, the way the whole bodybuilding circuit works, especially on the natural side, there's what they call level 4 shows, which incorporate the whole state. And if you do well on those, then you can compete nationally. And as it turned out, I went ahead and I competed in a level 4 natural bodybuilding show here in Florida. And I ended up by winning not only my weight class in that, but I also won the overall. So what they do is they take the weight class winners, and then you go against each other, and then I also won that as well too. So I was the overall champion for that all natural, and that kind of allowed me to go to the national stage. And I've competed nationally several times now. Muscle America has won out in Las Vegas. I've been out there several times. I've done very well in there. And then also on the other side, Team Universe, for those of you that know the NPC side of things, that's the big national natural bodybuilding show on the NPC stage. So from that, I was competing for quite some time, and it really required me to understand, especially without the benefit of steroids, really to understand how nutrition and training work together. And you can't look at them individually. You can't have training on one side and nutrition on the other, and they shall never meet. That's not the way it is. In fact, I've heard some people say it's almost as 80-20. 80% nutrition, 20% training. And the older that I've gotten, the more that I've realized that that's absolutely true.
How old are you, Pete?
I am going to be 44 years old in about in a week and a half.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I've been training the entire time. So I have about 30 years of training under my belt. I've never stopped. Never. The most that I've taken off is probably a week or two during my entire life. I went to Italy. I found gyms in Italy. I trained all, my work. I'm an attorney for a living as well, too. I travel a lot. I'm all over the country. I do trials all over the country. I always find gyms, and I had the benefit of training pretty much everywhere. I trained in every big box gym there is. I train in lots of small local gyms, and that has really given me the benefit of getting to talk to and see lots of different people and see how different people train and get an idea of kind of what's out there. So that really has helped me as well and kind of develop my own, my own set training routine. Because I tell you, the biggest thing, and a lot of times when I go, and I'm at different gyms, and I'm in, obviously decent shape, and guys will come up to me and they'll ask me, say, what do you do for this or what do you do for that? And there isn't any one magic bullet. I think that's, I think most people are looking for that, just tell me what to eat. Give me that magic food, or give me that magic, workout, or give me that magic exercise, or that magic, how many sets do I do, or how many reps did I do? And the truth is, they all work. They all have some benefit to you, and it's your ability to understand your body, to become a master of your body, to understand what works for you at any given time. Because we all have different, physical goals, fitness goals, and that's kind of how my fitness journey has taken me. I've competed in bodybuilding literally up until even to the present day. I'm actually getting ready to compete in my first physique type show on June 7th here in Tampa, which is slightly different than bodybuilding. I've kind of realized that as I've gotten older, I don't have all the big size that some of these other bodybuilders have, so I'm going to go and go along the physique side. So that's kind of taken me along my physical journey. But even along the way, probably about a couple of years ago, I went ahead and I was driving down the road and I saw this jiu-jitsu gym. I see this guy named Matt Arroyo that's running this jiu-jitsu school that's out there. And here I'm 42 years old. Most 42-year-old guys, they're driving their minivan, they're going to work. They're not really thinking about starting on a new, pretty active sport. But I saw it, and because of my fitness, my level of fitness, and my diet and my nutrition, kind of where I was, it really wasn't that much of a stretch for me to go ahead and give it a shot. I did realize, however, that I didn't have the level of conditioning that I thought that I had when I first started jiu-jitsu, but that opened up a whole new world to me, even outside of bodybuilding. And really what I'm saying with all this is, when you think about working out or lifting weights, it's not just lifting weights to add muscle. It adds value to all different aspects of your life, whether it's being able to go play with your kids in the park, or run around, or go ahead and play that pickup game of basketball, or in my case, pick up a whole new sport and do it. It allows you the freedom to do that. In other words, I don't have to sit on my couch because my joints are aching, or I have a big giant gut and I can't do it. Engaging in an active physical lifestyle through working out, and that's where it all started. That's allowed me to do all this other stuff that I love doing.
Awesome. So you've been working out for 30 years, you have all this knowledge, you've gained all this experience, you've read dozens of articles, talked to hundreds of people about what they do, and looking at the top guys, training with top guys, and so you have all this knowledge, and so I guess what the next question would be, what would you tell someone starting out? Well, two questions. What would you tell someone just starting out? They're on the couch, they've got the gut, maybe they're watching this right now and they're like, man, I want to be like PJ. What would you tell the beginner who's never done anything, right? Just eating pizza on the couch with the belly, but he's motivated now. He wants to do something. What would you tell him? And also the guy who's in decent shape, who asks you questions in the gym, and they're already in good shape, but they want to get to that next level. So let's start with Homer Simpson on the couch.
Yeah, that's actually a great question, because I do get that quite a bit. Where I'm in a gym, I'm working out, and some guy, comes out and maybe he's not, all that great of shape, and he comes in and asks me kind of what I do. And the biggest thing that I tell everyone is it's consistency. That's the start of it all. And so if you go, and if you're doing nothing, if you're sitting, on your couch, or if you've never even lifted a weight in your entire life, well, if you just start, that's 100% improvement right then and there. Forget about all the complicated routines and supersets and drop sets and all this other stuff. If you go from doing nothing to doing something, I don't care what it is. I don't care if you go from doing nothing to doing 20 push-ups a day. That's the start. And you have to build on that. You're not going to go from doing nothing to working out on some 4-day routine, split workout routine, doing upper body, lower body. You're not going to do that. But I got to tell you, we all started there. And as long as you just go ahead and take that first step, it doesn't matter if you're going to the gym once a week. That's enough. If you're not doing anything, and if you're going to the gym once a week, that's 100% improvement of what you were doing before, and you're going to see results. Because what you want to do, and here's the biggest thing, is you want to, it's not like you just want to, it's like a diet. You don't want to think of it as a diet. You want to change your lifestyle. In order to change your lifestyle, you can't go from 0 to 60 in one shot. You go to 10 miles an hour to 15 to 20. So just get in the gym. Just start. Even if you have no idea what you're doing. When I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. I just picked up a weight. I put it down. And you know what? Something happened. I started to grow. I started to get in a little bit better shape. Now, after you get to that consistency, do it, where you're going in, you're going once a week for month after month after month. Then as you start to understand a little bit, then you can add a little bit more and add a little bit more. And you take the knowledge that you learn in video blogs like this, and that you start to add that to your repertoire, you put that in your brain, and then really what it is because everyone's different. The guy, the Homer Simpson that you said, the guy that's sitting on his couch, his body type is going to be different than mine, is different than yours. So really what you want to do is be consistent and then get information that's going to help your specific body. No one could sit there and give you this one blanket magic program. It's really what your level of fitness is at that point in time. How much time do you have to work out? We're all busy. We have jobs. We have kids. We have to deal with that. Well, you got to fit it in where you're going to be able to go in on a consistent basis, whether it's 1 time a week or 2 times a week. Now, moving on to the person that's been training for a while, I probably get more questions from those folks than anyone. And really, the key there is don't think you know it all, because you don't. I mean, there's so much information that's out there, and I spend hours upon hours upon hours because I love this stuff. I do want to become the master of my body, and the way that you become the master of your body is you have to gain information. You have to read, you have to talk to people, you have to experiment with different things. I have 30 years of experimenting. Almost everything that I've done is stuff that I've done to myself. It's not where someone told me, hey, do X. It's like, okay, I read about X, and then I went ahead and I tried that particular training program. I've lifted every which way that you could. So the biggest, I guess, stumbling block or hurdle that people have to face that have been training for a couple of years is don't think just because you've been lifting your particular routine and you've been doing 8 to 10 reps that's it, that you know it all. Be open to other information. Be open to learning new things, new techniques that's going to help you advance to get your game to the next level, because there always is a next level. There's a next level for me as well too. That's the beautiful thing about fitness, is you never really obtain the ultimate goal. You're always working towards it. No matter how good I think that I've looked, no matter how good I did in a show, you could always be better. You could always tweak some. Even as I've gotten older, you have to learn and figure out, okay, it's a fact of life. You're getting older, things are going to wear out, you're going to have to do things differently. So now, it's not that you could stop, it's like, how do I get, as a matter of fact, I even talked about with you earlier this year, Matt, how do I get into the best PJ ever this year? I want to be the best PJ. You should have that goal every single year. How do I get to the best you ever? And that's where the guy who's been training for a couple of years, that's what he needs to focus on, to go ahead, gain the information, and then try it. Really, there's no substitute for trial and error, because you can talk about mesomorphs and endomorphs and ectomorphs and different body types. It depends upon what your workload is, how much stress you have in your day, how much sleep you're getting. Did you just get a kid? Do you have a new job? All of these things are going to impact your ability, or are going to impact what level of fitness you could obtain. It's your ability to juggle that, put that together, that's going to allow you to continue to grow, where you can do this to your 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. And you can still go ahead and have a healthy lifestyle.
Nice. That's great information. Go back quick to Homer Simpson, because something that you and I were talking about the other day I think would be very helpful to everybody, especially if you are that guy that's sitting on the couch. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, as long as you're willing to make a change. But you were telling me about their diet, something about just like you were saying with the weights, don't go crazy right away, but even just changing a few things with it, Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and again, diet is so important, and a lot of what we're going to be talking about in some of the blogs is going to center around diet, because it does play such an important part in your body's reaction. Because when you're in the gym, you don't grow in the gym. You grow when you're outside of the gym, when you break down your muscle fibers, and the food that you take in is what helps them. But for the guy that wants to lose weight, everyone has different categories, different goals. Some people want to add 5 or 10 pounds of muscle. Some people want to lose 5 or 10 pounds of fat. But for the guy that hasn't done anything, and that knows nothing about diet, and knows nothing about monounsaturated or polyunsaturated or slow digesting proteins, fast digesting proteins, they say, well, Pete, and this was just asked me just the other day, a guy that was pretty overweight, and I get this all the time. Hey, what can I do to lose some weight? And the first thing that I tell them, and it's really as basic as this, the first thing that you need to do is look at your diet and clean it up. If you just do that, then you're going to lose weight. Here's what I mean. The way the body works is it wants to stay in this homeostatic state. It wants to be level. It doesn't want to go up and down. It wants to stay nice and level. So if you're at a weight right now and you're overweight, say you're 20 pounds overweight, but you're eating pretty consistently. You're not gaining weight and you're not losing weight. Whatever calories you're taking in, that's the calories that your body needs to maintain. Well, it's as simple as this. If you do anything to lower that amount, then your body's used to operating at this level. But if you do anything to lower that amount a little bit, that's going to go ahead and create a deficit for you. And ultimately, that's going to make you lose weight. And the easiest way to do that, especially if you're not into really eating healthy or that eating healthy lifestyle, is to take a hard look at your diet and get rid of the easy things. Get rid of the full Coca-Colas or the potato chips or all the dressings that you may put on it. A lot of the fried food. And it's even simpler than that, believe it or not. It's really as simple as this. Let's say, for example, everyone likes to drink. I like to drink. I drink wine, have beer, whatever. Let's say if you go ahead and if you're overweight, 20 pounds, and you drink, let's say, for example, six beers a week. All you have to do is, if you could say, okay, I'm going to still drink beer because I like beer, and then go from 6 beers a week down to 3 beers a week. That's a 50% reduction. Okay, that's less calories that you were taking before. If you just do that, do nothing else, just go from 6 beers to 3 beers, you're going to lose weight. I guarantee it. It's the way the body works. It's calories in, calories out. Everyone gets fixated on carbs and proteins and fats, and that does matter. When you get super lean, does that matter? Yes, there is a place where macronutrients do matter. But for overall fitness, it's calories in versus calories out, and it doesn't matter where those calories come from. So for the guy that's sitting on the couch, and if you want to lose 5 or 10 pounds, the first thing that you need to do is just clean up your diet. Get rid of the easy stuff, the white bread, the highly processed foods, the sugars. And if you can't just eliminate it cold turkey, just cut it in half. Because that's the next biggest step with diet, is once you kind of clean it up, it's portion control. We do a horrible job at trying to guesstimate how much food we're eating. Everyone overeats. I overeat. I myself, when I get really serious about doing a bodybuilding show, I have to weigh my food because I don't trust myself, because I know that if I'm hungry, all of a sudden, that becomes a cup, and it's really not a cup. Or, a tablespoon of peanut butter is this big glob of peanut butter. So I have to be careful of that too, and I've been doing this for 30-something years. So even if I have those problems, most people are going to have those problems as well too. So really, in a nutshell, for the guy that's just hasn't done anything, is trying to lose a few pounds, first thing to do is just simply clean up your diet. Do that for about a month or two, you're going to see some results. After that, start looking at your portion control. Start looking at how much food you're actually eating, and then from there we can kind of carry it on and then take you to the next step to really kind of get you into a level of fitness that you can be proud of.
I like that, because I feel like a lot of people come to me as well, having a jiu-jitsu school, asking me similar questions, and I always tell them the worst thing you do is try to do everything at once, because it's never going to be sustainable. So what you're saying is one thing at a time, and you'll start seeing small results. And then when you start seeing the small results, you're going to want bigger results. You're going to get addicted to it, and like you said, it's just going to keep going from there. So that's great. So basically, if people want more information from you, and tell us how they could stay in touch with you and keep this information coming, because we're about out of time right now.
Well, I tell you, and what we've started here, it's PJ Molinelli, it's the train. You go pjmolinelli.com, and the whole idea behind it is to put out no BS information that's out there, not information that's sponsored or being plugged by advertisers. There's no financial motivation out there, but really, I love being in shape, and I love feeling the way that I feel right now, and I get asked questions all the time, so I get the feeling lots of people want to have that information too. So what we want to do is provide a forum for people to get really the no BS view towards it. I mean, stuff that I actually do. And I'm telling you, and non-steroid, there's a whole other, blog we do about supplements as well too, but, basically real information that you can use, realistic, not some program that, I'm not going to sit there and hype some program and say, okay, just do 5 sets with no weight towel and all of a sudden you're going to have abs like these. It doesn't work that way. What we want to do, though, is give you real information that real people can use to obtain real fitness results. And that's really the goal behind the train, the pjmolinelli.com, to get that kind of information out there. In fact, if you go there, if you look onto the right of your screen, go ahead and add your email address there. I actually have a booklet that I put out that has 7 of really the core, basically foundational principles for fitness, and that's where it all really starts, and it's pretty much universally accepted, but it puts together in a nutshell for you, a pretty easy read that lays out really your starting point for everyone, and that's really what it is. It's the starting point to get you in the right direction so you can obtain your own individual fitness goals. Not my fitness goals, because I'm different than you. I'm competing in jiu-jitsu, I'm competing in physique shows. Maybe you have no desire to do that. Maybe you just want to lose 5 or 10 pounds. The whole idea behind this is to give you the information to allow you to do that for yourself. So you won't need somebody like me to go ahead and tell you all this. You could have that information available to you, and you could put it to use, and you can go ahead and obtain the type of body that you want to obtain.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually put my name and email in. I read through the thing. It's obviously free. You know, if you put your email in, he sends it right to you. And it's, from what I've read, it's really, you know, and I didn't know most of the stuff on there, but it's very foundational. Like anything else PJ here tells you in the future in his blogs, you kind of have to know that stuff, and then it builds upon that. So make sure that you guys do that, and also it'll keep you in touch with PJ Molinelli here. And you know, I love what you're doing. I love that you're going to be helping a lot of people, and thank you for this interview, and looking forward to seeing what you have out next.
Great, thanks Matt, appreciate it very much.